Hi, I'm Eric Sultan. I'm an 18-year veteran of Colorado real estate, and I'm a 25-year resident of Central Denver, Colorado. This is my channel, Denver Block by Block, where we discuss real estate matters here in the city of Denver. Today we are back in City Park South. This is my neighborhood, and today we're going to discuss something that's really close to my heart because it's actually about a purchase that I made here of my home and how that went with multiple offers and how we managed to beat multiple offers to get our house without overpaying for our house. I'm just gonna grab a quick cup of coffee over at Hooked on Colfax, and then we will walk through City Park South block by block and talk about the real estate process. You know, when you sell real estate for a living, it can really help to do a transaction, to sell a place or to buy a place of your own every few years. That way you remember what it's like to make those difficult decisions, all the emotions that go into buying and selling a property. You realize how strong the motivation for buying the right house can be and what it's like to have to get the place where you've lived for 3 years or 5 years or 10 years ready to put on the market and to put that home that you've called your own out there and hear all the feedback, the negatives, the positives that you're going to get on that place when it's been exposed to the public. So for the story of the house that I'm living in now, you know, we found it, and it wasn't luck. It wasn't even just skill and all the things that I know about real estate. A lot of this one was really patient. The house that we wanted was a type of house that only comes available every couple of years in the neighborhood that we wanted to be in, City Park South. So when one of these homes would come up, we would rush to go and see what it had to offer, what it was like inside. But really, we only had the chance to view a few properties before we decided to dive in on the one that we wound up buying. We waited an awful long time. We looked at a lot of homes that we knew before we even walked in the door, these were not going to be our places. And my wife, after having looked at so many of these homes with me, thought that maybe I didn't even want to buy a house. What I was doing was just waiting for the one that was really going to work for us, the right house for us to hit the market. And then I was ready, she was ready, we had discussed it. We knew that we were going to be very aggressive about making sure that we got it when it came around. So step one in this journey, the house came around. I knew that there was a really good chance we were going to buy this house before we even toured it. I knew online that, you know, it was one of the few homes that was going to be just right. It was newer construction. We're used to being in 100-year-old and older homes, in single-family homes. This was an attached home, a duplex. We knew that we were going to be in a duplex. We knew that we were going to be in something that was newer. So this place hit the market, and it also had some architectural character. We didn't just want to be in a simple box. We could tell just from the online photos that this had all of those things. And I wanted to be ready to make a move. So I contacted some lenders. We were already pre-qualified, but I wanted to make sure that we had all the T's crossed and I's dotted. I's dotted? I's dotted? We toured the property, and from the moment we entered the door, we were sure. We could feel it. You know, we've been in a lot of houses, and sometimes you can feel the design, but then also you can feel the construction. If you've been in a lot of homes, you can feel when a house was built poorly. You can feel when a house is built well, at least to some extent. We knew when we walked in this home that this was probably a very well-built house. Checked all the boxes as far as design for us. We walked through. We saw how we would live in this house, and the next step was to make an offer. We knew it was the right house. We knew we were prepared, so we made our offer. Our offer was above asking, but it wasn't more than the house was worth. The house was worth a little more than the sellers were asking for it. And although we paid more than asking price, we did not pay more than the value of that home, and especially not more than the value of that home to us, knowing how long we were going to live there, knowing what our reasons for wanting to be there were, knowing how difficult it is to find that kind of product in this neighborhood. And so all of those things lined up for us to make an offer that was not a whole lot, but fairly substantially over asking. So some things that I will take to any buyer from this experience. One of those things is that we didn't just talk to one lender. We had pre-qualified with multiple lenders. We were getting a jumbo loan. We wanted somebody who could do a lot of things. First of all, give the seller the assurance that we were going to get this closed. And secondly, we wanted somebody who could get the loan underwritten very quickly. We wanted to show the seller that we could close this as fast as they needed it closed. And then we were getting a pretty big loan, especially for us. So we wanted to make sure that we were going to be able to get the best rate. And one of the ways that you can get the best rates is to get a quote from one lender and then send that quote to another lender. And the other lender will then have the opportunity to beat that rate, where lenders, at least in my market, a lender can't just, look at you, say, hey, you seem like a good bet. I'm going to give you an extra good deal on your interest rate. They need to see something legally. They need to see something and have something to compete with in order to be competitive on interest rates. We knew that this opportunity wasn't going to come up again, probably for a couple of years. So we decided to go all in. What going all in meant for us, in addition to making an offer above asking, which was just going to be 100% necessary with this particular home, we were very aggressive with regard to the terms of our loan. Much more aggressive than I've ever coached one of my clients to be. And since this experience, I will tell my clients what I was willing to do in order to get the house that I wanted, even though I would never tell them, hey, I think you should do this, because it is very aggressive and it did involve some risk, but it didn't involve more risk than we were willing to take or more risk than we understood. So first of all, we completely waived our inspection contingency. We didn't need it. We knew that this home was built fairly recently. It only had one owner. From being in the real estate business, we understood what the prices were on anything that could be wrong. So we decided to just waive that contingency completely. We waived our appraisal contingency. We knew that we had a large enough down payment for this home that the appraisal was never going to come in low. So there was just no need to have an appraisal contingency in there for a home that wasn't going to have appraisal problems. So this is one thing that I will coach my clients to do when they're in that kind of position. If you know there's just no chance of a low appraisal, well, then you don't need that contingency. And it's very powerful. It's very powerful leverage against other buyers. If your buyer has no appraisal contingency, especially when any other buyer, they're not going to have the opportunity to use their appraisal contingency anyway, because the price of the property just makes so much sense to an appraiser.
I don't want to give people who aren't my clients much advice on not having financing conditions in their contracts. But one thing I can say is that if you're going to remove financing conditions from your offer, make sure that you're working with a really, really excellent lender who's going to get the deal closed and get the deal closed on time, because you don't want your earnest money lost, especially not if it's a lot of earnest money, and it always is to every buyer. You don't want that earnest money getting lost because your lender dropped the ball last minute. I've seen situations where a lender drops the ball last minute, And the seller then has the opportunity to decide, hey, do I want to continue working with this contract, or maybe some other contract for more money came in during the time that home was under contract. And that seller then has the opportunity to take the earnest money from the first buyer and close with the second buyer because they just don't feel like giving that first buyer an extra week to get their finances in order. I'm at the Pinnacle at City Park right now, the edge of City Park South, right on 17th Avenue by Fillmore Street. It's got two big towers and some low rises, and they're gorgeous buildings right on the park. Good HOA, and this is probably the last of the residential places that I'm gonna be in today because I think I'm gonna go walk across the street and hit the park. We decided to use a very large earnest money deposit, much larger than the seller asked for. In some markets, you'd call that the escrow money. So we used a much larger earnest money deposit because we knew, and I'm just gonna kind of keep on saying this, we knew that we were 100% all in. We knew we were buying this house. So if you know that you're gonna buy a house, there's an awful lot of questions that are already answered for you. You don't need to worry about a larger earnest money deposit. You're gonna put that, well, for us at least, we were gonna put that down as our in our down payment anyway. So why not let the seller hold on to it for a little while to make them feel comfortable about the fact that we're gonna buy this house. We decided on a very quick closing time, just 3 weeks. And 3 weeks isn't all that fast if you're closing with all cash, but if you're closing a finance deal, it's pretty fast. But we knew that all of our I's were dotted and our T's were crossed. So we decided to go with a 3-week closing time and give the seller a rent back, let them live in the property after we closed. We gave them free rent for 60 days. It's not terribly expensive for us, and it gave them a lot of assurance that they were going to be able to move on to the next part of their life. Just think about if your closing is 3 weeks as opposed to, say, 6 weeks. If you're a seller, that means that you have 3 weeks with that money that's actually in your pocket. It's not just a whole lot of people promising they're gonna give you money and buy your house. Your house is bought, you have the money in your pocket, you know that you can move on and use that money on your next move, your next project. And they did. They had a serious project house that they were under contract on, and they needed to close on this one in order to finish their purchase and in order to start paying contractors to do work on their home. So this quick close and a free rent back was a huge boon to them, and it made our contract to purchase a whole lot stronger. We removed all of our financing conditions. We just didn't need them. We didn't need to have financing conditions because as buyers, we were already underwritten. Since we were already underwritten as buyers, the only thing that needed to be underwritten after us was the house. And we knew that the house was not going to have any problems getting through underwriting. We had already discussed the home with our lenders. Everybody knew what was going on with it. We had all the necessary assurances. And like I keep on saying, if you know you're going to buy the house, you don't need a bunch of doors to walk away through. You don't need a lot of ways to terminate a contract if what you really want, if all you want, is for that contract to close. It is autumn and we're walking through a lot of beautiful leaves here. The leaves are still mostly on the trees, but the colors are really coming out. Autumn is just an amazing time in this town. It's not too hot, it's usually not too cold. We tend not to get too much rain here, so it's kind of post if we have a little monsoon year. The monsoons are done, hail season's over. It's just a nice time to be outside and enjoy the weather. Lastly, when it comes to aggressive offering techniques, I chose to drop off my earnest money in person before we went under contract. I wrote the offer and I delivered the earnest money by hand to the listing agent at his home in order to show just how serious I was about purchasing this property. These are things that I wouldn't tell any buyer, hey, you should remove your financing conditions, you should remove your appraisal, you should remove your inspection completely. But they are things that I tell buyers about because I want them to understand that even if I wouldn't necessarily suggest it, they are all options that some buyers might have, and other buyers might even have other options that would make their offers even stronger for one reason or another. I mean, I've definitely I've worked with an awful lot of people who have gone to family and just found, that one rich uncle that has enough cash to buy the whole house outright, and that uncle bought the house, and then the buyers financed out of it, within a few months of closing. Not gonna take up too much of your time with this today, but this is why I live here. The lake at City Park in the fall with all the colors. You can see the swan paddle boats. They're getting set for a little festival this weekend in front of the museum. So this is the Museum of Nature and Science, all the way down across the lake. And there are an awful lot of people having a great time here today. This park is just unbeatable. I think it's the best park in Denver, which is a city with a lot of great parks. So why wasn't I scared going into a situation where I was being this aggressive on the purchase of a home? One, yeah, I've been around real estate for a long time, so I have a little bit of special knowledge when it comes to this. Two, I was willing to live with any of the downsides that might come. If the house needed a new roof, I was willing to put a new roof on. If the house needed a new sewer line, I was willing to put a new sewer line in. These were probably the biggest concerns. This was newer permitted construction in Denver proper. And I'd been around enough houses to know there were no major structural issues on this house. So the risk was within boundaries that I was willing to accept. And everybody has to ask themselves what kind of risk they are willing to accept. I work with a lot of people that they have very regular, very steady incomes, but they might not have a lot of savings, and they might not have a lot of income beyond what they need to spend and put in retirement and for their mortgage. And so if you don't have that much of a buffer zone, then saying, yeah, I'm willing to accept a broken sewer line might not be realistic. We had done the math before we started even looking for properties, and we were completely ready. We were underwritten before we stepped foot in this house. We knew what our monthly costs would be. We knew what our down payment would look like. We knew how much buffer we had left in our savings after we were done with that. So because we knew how much buffer we had and how much our monthly would be, we were fine taking some risks that we wouldn't have been okay with if we hadn't known what exactly was going to be in our bank account after we completed the purchase. Everybody's situation is different, but this is the kind of clarity that all buyers should have before they get into the purchase of a home. This is the kind of clarity that buyers should have before they even set foot in a house to tour it. If you're looking for this kind of clarity, a clear plan, smart advice, the ability to move fast, to be aggressive if the right house comes your way, then please feel free to get in touch with me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Absolutely no pressure. You can use my email, eric@denvercitybroker.com, or you can get in touch with me through the comments right below. I will get back with you very, very quickly. So strategic versus reckless. Let's be clear. This wasn't just a crazy offer. It was a highly strategic move made with experience and preparation. I had a realistic outlook on risk. I waived the contingencies because I'd already planned for the worst case scenarios, and I was comfortable with those risks.
why we won? The listing agent told me afterward, we picked your offer because we knew that it would close. That was it. Not the price, not the escalation. They had my earnest money in hand. My lender had already cleared everything. I wasn't asking for anything. I was delivering certainty in a difficult, chaotic market. In a bidding war, that's gold. The bigger lesson that you can take from this, most people think that you have to throw money at a problem. You don't, though yes, sometimes it's part of the equation. But what you really need is a clear plan, smart advice, the ability to move fast with confidence, not fear. If you're just guessing or crossing your fingers during every part of the deal, then you're not ready to waive anything. But if you've done the work ahead of time, then you'll know when it's time to go all in. So let's talk. If you're thinking about buying in a competitive neighborhood like City Park or Park Hill or Congress Park, you want to be ready for when the perfect house hits the market. So drop a message or a comment below and we will talk about this kind of strategy. I'm Eric Sultan, and that is how I help buyers win in a difficult market. I will see you here next week on Denver Block by Block.